Welcome to the Seer Show. Join us as we dive into the dynamic world of health, wellness, mindset, and fitness with the unparalleled guidance of lifelong knowledge seekers, Sifu Rafael and Nikki Gangemi. Sifu and Nikki will unlock groundbreaking insights with extraordinary guests from around the globe. You'll get the latest holistic approaches to well-being with a sharp focus on the powerful connection between mind, body, and soul. Get ready to take the leap. It's time to embrace a brighter and healthier future with us at the Seer Show.
5, 4, 0.
Nikki, good morning. Happy Wednesday. How are you today?
Good morning, Sifu. I'm excellent. And how are you doing this day?
I am exceptional and getting better every day.
Yeah. I love that we have E words, excellent and exceptional.
That's it. Every day.
Oh, look at that. Every day.
Yeah. I love the topic today, and I love the fact that we have so many incredible people who are going to be joining us. And the power of your voice. It's such a powerful topic for me because our voices sometimes define how things happen in our lives. So let's not waste any time. Let's start bringing people in. Dr. Fred, Sabine, Hanna, welcome.
There we go. Bret and Carrie.
Yes.
Hello and welcome, everybody. Glad to be here.
I feel like I'm the center square on Hollywood Squares.
Yes, exactly.
So let's see who gets the answer right. I'm just kidding. That was a great show back in the day, and sometimes it was so funny depending on who was on the panel, right? But the topic today is basically that, is the power of your voice. Who'd like to just give us a quick analogy of what that may mean to them?
Well, I'm happy to be starting with that. For me, the power of the voice is everything. It's not only what we say, it's how we say it, how we express ourselves. And myself, being from the entertainment industry, I was an actress and director and producer for over 3 decades. The power of the voice is the expression, the passion that we have. And you don't have to be on a theater stage to do that. But when we share our story, and stories are so powerful, then we connect with other human beings. And when we have that human being connection, that is very helpful for our well-being, our mind, our soul. And then, of course, how we communicate our message and our mission that we have with others. And that only can come through the power of our own voice. And so that is, in short, how I think about it.
Love it.
Yeah, I love that as well. And Sabine, I just want to continue what you are saying. I love the business and the entertainment business as well, and not only how you are expressing yourself, but also the words that you are using. I mean, there's a beautiful scene. I don't recall the name of the film, but there's a beautiful scene saying, "Are you allowed to smoke as you're praying? Or are you allowed to pray as you are smoking?" You're doing exactly the same thing, but the power in where you put the power in which wording will make such a huge difference. So that is also how we are using the words and semantic that we have.
Yeah.
Love that. Who's up next?
Yeah, I think I can go. One thing about voice is I look at definitions of words, and if we're going to speak about voice, I like to speak about what isn't the definition, because most definitions really are built inside of a world of what isn't that. And so the space between the words is so critical. Like, how long do I space, or how long does that person space in between the vocalized, in between the audible words? And when you really look at voice, it extends beyond voice. It extends beyond just like creating sounds out of my mouth. My voice comes from how I carry myself. My voice comes from my visual artistry. My voice comes from how I write, how I express myself using things that aren't necessarily the conventional way to deliver messages. Like, we think that we usually think by default that voice means the sounds that we're making out of our mouth. But voice is so much broader than that. Like, who am I really as a human being? Who am I really as a dad, as a partner, as a citizen, as a human being? And those are the kinds of things that I really notice sort of supersede or extend past the simple, we'll call it simple expression of words that then I hope gets heard accurately by the person on the other side.
Love that.
Yeah.
And I would go more macro on this question in terms of thinking about who you can influence with that voice and how you can positively impact the world by getting your message out. I mean, I made a big career shift recently and talking to a totally different audience, and to think about how you're going to communicate with that particular audience and what the message is that you want to get out and how you want your voice to be heard. And it's never too late to reinvent yourself and to keep those creative juices flowing. So you got to keep that voice talking. And I always like to say, you got to keep on living till you're no longer alive. So don't be afraid to get that voice out there, I think is probably the most important thing that anybody needs to think about.
I love that so much, because for me, the power of the voice is about the message. And my word for 2026 is community. And I've gone through a whole worldview shift in the last year and realized that for a long time I had lost my voice, and I was not heard, and I was not communicating, and I was not getting a message out there. So for me, the power of the voice is the message. And my message to people is, you're not stuck, and you're not alone, and you can move forward, and you can transform.
I love what everybody was saying, because it just complements what we said. And the one way how we can share our voice more authentically is through stories. Stories have been in our society thousands of years ago, and now we just share it differently. And one of the things, and what you just said, Carrie, I love it so much, like the reinvention and not being afraid to share your story, and even those that are maybe not as glamorous. And sometimes we have to be reminded by a different person, by another person. So let me share this quick story with you. A year and a half ago, I was sharing my story on a podcast interview, and the woman came up after me and said, "Sabine, you need to write a book." And I said, "Well, I already wrote 3 books, right?" But she said, no, you need to write your stories, your memoir, and the wisdom that you shared with me. I think it's important to get it out into the world. And I was taken by it, and I said, wow, I have to do it. And through different circumstances, when you put something out, it happened. And that same, or the next day, I was offered a book deal. I don't want to go into details, but that was the best thing, because the book was just released 2 weeks ago, but I got so much feedback already. And I know it was important to share that story and the wisdoms. And I invite everybody, you have a story, and it's so powerful when you share it, because you can make a difference in somebody else's life.
that. Love that. Nikki, I'd love to get your take on.
Well, the power of the voice, the first thing that came into my mind is we come into this world loud and proud, crying, screaming at the top of our lungs. We are born with that power. And similar to what Bret and Kerry was saying is, at some point, some of us lose the courage to use that voice. Not because of the moments that happen, we all have moments and experiences, but when you make a meaning to it, like, for example, I had made a meaning that it's not safe to speak up and use my voice because of some events where there was a major consequence or a big problem. So I think it's remembering and tapping into that courage to use your voice, because the power is already within you.
Oof, love that. I love how you started with, we all come out screaming and getting our voice out there. And I think that was pretty cool. We can change the power of our voice as well. I want you guys to imagine Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson had a voice that everyone in the world has made fun of. But he changed the dynamic of his voice through his punches, through his actions. And now when people think of Mike Tyson, they don't think of the funny voice that he has. They think of what he did, the way he spoke differently, right? Whatever he went through in his life, he still carried this incredible voice, even though it was funny to listen to a little bit, because you see this big burly guy who can kill somebody and have this tiny little girlish voice. And it was really interesting that he did not allow that to hurt him. He used the power of his voice, if you will, differently than many people have in the past, because most people are afraid of public speaking because they're afraid of their own voice. Most people are afraid to get on a camera because they're afraid of what they sound like. Same thing with a recording. So a lot of people who are great singers, we've never heard. We've never heard them. And so let me ask everybody a question. What's the cemetery full of?
Regret.
Dead dreams.
Yeah.
Because they never pursued it. They were afraid of it, right?
Yeah, and I want to connect relations to that. I mean, lost relationships or missed out relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. So if everybody here can tie their voice to a mission with under 15 words, what would that mission be? I see smoke coming out. Everybody's thinking, I love it.
All right, my current mission is to instill a love of reading to children at a very young age.
Love it. And congratulations on your book. Great.
I support women who have been affected by cancer and help them move forward with confidence, clarity, and purpose.
That's powerful, Ken. Absolutely.
And for me, I work with high achievers and business owners. There's an echo from me. Do you hear it as well? Yeah.
I don't hear it as much, but go for it.
Okay. And for me, it is really to be true to your own values. There is a bad echo. I will have to reconnect, right?
Or put headsets on. Put a headset on.
I do have that.
Okay, because then it's going back into your mic. That's what happened. That's the power of your voice. Your voice does not want to be quiet. And you see, that's the beauty. You want us to hear it twice. That's what's going on. I get you, Hanna. I got it.
That's funny.
Sabine, what is
Yeah.
your thought?
So my mission is help individuals to find their voice through their story and express it in a way that they step forward with poise, power, and courage and make a difference in this world.
Love that.
Love it. Dr. Fred.
Yeah, I like to remind people that, human connection is at the heart of healing of all conditions of all types everywhere. And in that connection, of course, parenthetically, it's going to be voice and listening that are the driving force.
Mm-hmm. Nikki.
Yeah, my mission is to essentially help people have the courage to be themselves. And the way I do that is really resetting the mind, resetting the belief systems to help them remember who they are and have the courage to go after what they want in life unapologetically.
I love it. I love it. I got to tell you, my mission in life is what I got downloaded from God, and it said to help as many people as you possibly can. And in that process, is helping people be aware of their worth. Their worth more than sometimes they even give themselves credit. And I love to hear from everybody who has written a book on why you wrote. And I know, Sabine, you told us you wrote 3 and then wrote another one that just came out 2 weeks. And I know that, Bret, you just wrote a children's book. And anybody else who's written a book, and Dr. Fred just wrote a book that came out recently as well. And we even had a discussion on it on a couple of times. But what was the mission of the book or books? And is it an overflowing mission?
It really is. And that goes what you just said, Sifu, is why are we here on this planet right now? And I heard that voice so clearly. And I have been on a mission to help people see the light within them. And my last book, which is a memoir called Gumption, Sacred Whispers, Bold Moves, and the Courage to Become. And of course, me as known as the storytelling dame, I share stories, but each story is an empowerment for others to see themselves in it and to an invitation to move forward boldly. And I didn't want to write this book, as I mentioned before, but I always listened to the sacred whisper. And that same day, I was at a convention, and there was a table with a publisher that says, pitch your book and we give you feedback, right? So I just had that conversation with a lady, and I said, well, I don't have a book, but why not getting feedback? And that's how that mission in my life is always listening to the sacred whispers, to higher power. And you said something, Sifu, downloading. I've downloaded so many times songs and lyrics for the songs. And I have to add one more thing, because it connects everything together. What you just said, Nikki, about belief, and we all find ourselves, no matter how great we are or how evolved we are, in times of limiting beliefs. And I just found myself not too long ago in that position. And then I read a book about the prosperity or something like that. And I was reminded to connect back to God. And this morning, when I woke up, a song came through my mind called Angel Take Wing that I wrote 15 or 20 years ago. And I was like, wow. And that is the power of a mission. And so I'm here today to share even that. So we all have that.
Love it. Love it. Thank you. Thank you. Who else has written?
So let's see if there's still an echo. I hope that I managed to change.
Everybody else mute, and then there won't be an echo for you. Go. Everybody mute.
Okay, thanks. Well, I wrote a book. It was like 20 years ago, and it's the connection between leadership and mental health. And what I really want, I mean, it was self-experienced, because I was out. I was 6 months burnout and home. And I realized that there is such a great connection, or a big connection, between leadership and mental health and how you impact others. And I wanted to give the audience, or the readers, small tools and small principles that they can change, for just simple things that can actually make such a huge impact on their own health and also the way that they are treating others. So that is the first book I wrote. And I have another one coming up, and that is called The Curse of Being Capable. And that was a few months ago, at the end of May. I was actually on a retreat, and it just came very clear to me, the curse of being capable. It has been something for me, for my full life. I've been there, capable to do everything myself, but it has a cost as well. Being capable can be a curse, but it can also be a strength. So that is also the work that I'm doing, is really to support high achievers to make their capability to become a strength. So that is a book coming out. I don't know when, but it's coming.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Who'd like to go next, Dr. Fred?
Yeah, sure. I had written 3 books, and the name of my second book is actually called Find Your True Voice. So I spent a lot of time looking at this particular topic. And then the name of my third book, and thank you for referencing that, Sifu, is called Welcome to Humanity, which is the brand, that's what I created and that's who I now represent. And Welcome to Humanity is my own memoirs as well. So it's my full and total, like down to the ground, raw memoirs that just got released on July 15th, just last month. And it can be found on Amazon. It was so much fun to write. And I have a quick quip about voice. I had not read the book cover to cover while I was building it. And what got published was version 215. And the way I heard that book, I put that book on the speakers in my living room and sat there with my wife and listened to me read my story of my life to me for the first time that I read this book as written by me for me. And we were able to actually experience the power of voice inside of that, like, House of Mirrors exchange. It was one of the, if not the most cathartic and therapeutic couple hours that I've ever had in my life. And I've had many. So that was a real experience of my own voice being heard by me.
That's such a powerful way of thinking about what you did, right? And anybody who is an author, I recommend you doing an audio book of your book. And the reason a lot of people will hire someone, and I've heard some audiobooks and they come flat. There's no excitement. But I think if it's you, because you know the stories better than anyone else, you know what happened, you wrote the words. I think if you do it yourself, it is so powerful. And the reason some people don't do it is because they go, oh, I don't sound good on audio. So, yeah. Bret, you're muted, by the way.
So I actually wrote 8 business books in my earlier career, but then what caused the mission to change was I had grandchildren now, and I decided I wanted to write something that they could enjoy, because they were not too interested in books about speaking and book publishing. And so I had this silly phrase, crickets playing croquet, that kept going through my brain. And I said, well, I wonder what I could do with this. So I sat down at the computer and played around with some of the AI programs to see if I could create cartoon images of that particular thing. And that just led to a discussion with other people that said, hey, Bret, you really need to do a book A to Z about different animals doing different things. And so that became the linchpin for that first book called Games Animals Play, which is a children's book. My current mission is actually to give away 1,000 copies of that book to kids this year. So I gave away copy number 402 yesterday. So I got a ways to go, but got some school readings coming up, and we'll just continue on with that goal.
Awesome. Awesome.
Such a great mission. I applaud you for that, Brett.
So we're getting feedback from Nikki. So Nikki, what I did is muted you. But so you have some feedback coming back.
Okay.
So if you want to mute when you're not talking, that would be good.
Okay.
I know StreamYard is odd and it works, but it doesn't work. So it tries to quiet us a little bit. And so we sometimes have to mute. And the reason muting is sometimes good is so we can hear others, right? And I think that's power of listening as well. So we can listen to someone else's voice. So thank you for everybody. What I'd love to do is just share a quick video of something that's happening this Friday. And I'd love for you all to be with us. But if you can't, you can't. But take a look.
Let's get after this. Hey, hey. Leadership isn't a title. Hey. Pressure makes leaders. Unified leadership. Hey, hey. Unified leadership. Pressure makes leaders. Fire reveals truth. Forged in the struggle, built to break through. Unified leadership. We stand when it's hard. Different voices, one vision. Together we spar. Built through connection, stronger as one. Changing tomorrow by what we've begun. Unified leadership. Feel the fire ignite. When leaders unite, the future burns bright. Sifu, Rafael, with the vision and voice. Built through discipline, pressure and choice. Coach T.O. Clay, battle tested and tried. Turning trials into purpose, helping leaders rise. Pressure doesn't break you, it reveals you. You are the steel. Pressure makes leader, 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 leader. Unified leadership. Raise the bar, raise the bar. Unified leadership.
Just thought I'd throw out that for you guys. And I know that we have incredible people who are going to be there, and their voices are super powerful. And we are always looking to advance how we move in the leadership world. And we're going to do another one in December. And Dr. Fred is going to be one of our speakers then. But he's actually going to be a VIP member for the one that's happening this Friday. But in December, he's going to be one of the speakers. So it's kind of cool.
You know, Sifu, I'm pressed to speak to the receiver end of both speaking and leadership. So, you know, speaking needs to come with its partner listening, or it's kind of useless. It's like having a Lamborghini parked in the garage. You know, it's like until it can be received, it's not very important how well I speak. So it's really important that I get that. The same thing with leadership. Leadership is only leadership if there are others to be led. And it's not leadership unless it's received, and it's not speaking unless it's heard. And I just am really drawn to bring that forward.
I appreciate that. That's so true. And if you think about what you just said, it does impact people at different stages in their life, right? Because sometimes you will hear something, maybe it was 2, 3, 4, 10 years ago, and it just kind of flew by. But all of a sudden, your life has changed. And all of a sudden, now is the time. And I love that old phrase or that commercial it was a wine commercial, is Paul Masson will serve no wine till it's time, right? And there's a reason for that, because you don't want to have it too early. You want to have it just at the right time.
You know, one thing that strikes me is not only is the voice powerful, but part of that message is the way it's received, to kind of say more about what Dr. Fred had said. And that comes with listening, and listening is a skill. it's not something that we necessarily know how to do. I had a conversation with somebody yesterday about being the loudest person in the room. And I used to want to be the loudest person in the room because I wanted to be heard and I wanted everybody to hear what I had to say. And I am no longer the loudest person in the room. And they asked me what changed. And I said, I figured out that I learn more by listening than being the loudest person in the room.
I love that, Carrie. And I always say, I learn nothing when I speak.
Mm.
So I have a question for the group. There are so many voices out there. How do you decide what voices you're going to listen to?
Ooh.
Well, this is a really hard.
Go ahead.
Yeah, this is a really difficult and important question. And the question is, do I even have the capacity to decide? Like, is there a decision of who to listen to, or just do I hear and actually listen and then decide maybe what to discard or what to keep in my front edge? But I don't really get a choice of what I'm listening to. I get a choice to do whatever I do with what I heard.
Mm.
I hear what you said, Dr. Fred, and I agree. What we do with what we hear. But at the same time, we have the choice actively to seek out the person or persons or events that we want to listen to. And it all depends on the journey that we are on as well. The person that I listened to 10 years ago that gave me great pieces of advice and wisdom and information that I could implement, it doesn't fill me up today. Today, I seek out other leaders that I want to listen to because they can fill up my cup and what I need to evolve and grow. So it depends on the state of our being and where we are in life on our journey and what we need to grow to the next level and become our next greater self.
I do agree to that. At the same time, I'm values. I mean, I'm usually coming back to values and really to know where are you coming from and what are your own standards and if my value seems to be connected to the same thing as you believe is true, then I'm prepared to listen to you. But of course, to understand that as well, you need to ask questions. And I totally agree with you, Carrie. This with listening, it's a skill. And it takes a lot of energy to listen, to truly listen. I mean, it's not something that you're doing like a walk in the park. It takes a lot of energy to listen and be there and be curious enough to ask those questions, to dig even further and understand the other person. But for me, the values is number one. Do we have the same way and same basic, that we come from the same baseline, so to say, even though, of course, I do want to listen and learn from other experiences and other way of thinking. But to listen and learn, then I need to feel that we are connected with the ground values.
I love that. I got to tell you, so many times I have tried to listen to others who were recommended very highly. I mean, tons of people love this person, and I went and I gave them a try. And I was like, oh, maybe they curse too much. Maybe their values don't align with mine. So even though there could be millions of people who like this person, not my cup of tea. So I am going to not listen to them. I am done. And I'm going to move on to the next person that I may want to try. And I've done that with some really incredible people who I know have great things to share. But it's the way they speak. And sometimes when I hear somebody speak and they're full of themselves, I'm like, oh, you don't care about anybody else but you. And that's not my mission. My mission is to listen to people who care about others and are willing to help. And so you have to kind of like read between the lines a little bit to find out who your people are, because there are people that I will listen to always. And if they're not advancing, then you're right, Sabine, they will be left behind in my eyes, right? Because they're no longer serving me. But I want to be connected to people who are going to serve me, and I'm going to serve them equally, because we're both growing. So who do I listen to? Those that fill me. Like Nikki.
That's the beauty of choices, isn't it? You know, you go to a buffet and you're not going to eat everything at the buffet. But just because there's something there that you don't like, you don't say, oh, I'm not going to eat today. So we get to make choices about what our takeaway is from someone. And not everything is going to fit every person.
And I would also add to that, it has something to do with the energy. I'm so second what you said, Sifu, that we are not attracted to every person. And the same thing with coaches or entrepreneurs. You don't speak to everybody. You speak to a certain group of people that energetically aligns with you. And it doesn't matter. There can be another person so great, but you don't align, and vice versa, that someone doesn't want to work with you because it's just not that right alignment. And everybody finds the right person. And in my book Gumchen, I talk about that too, the uniqueness of each one of us, your experiences, your skills, the way you talk, the way you share your voice is so unique to you that is non-repeatable. And that is your superpower. Each one has that superpower. And if you think about it, it's amazing. We all are superheroes in our own ways.
I love that. I can see everybody's cape right now. Nikki, you don't have to stay muted the whole time. Go ahead. Let's listen.
Well, there's so much being said here. There's so many golden nuggets. One thing that came to mind when some of you were speaking with the power of the voice, how communication, words are only 7% of communication. It's just a small part. And, you know, what Sifu said, reading through the lines is something that we've got to do. Paying attention to tone and physiology, the energy that somebody's showing up with. So who I listen to, similar to what I think Sabine said, is whoever fills my cup. You know, what feels good. There's people that I love that I listen to. There's one person in particular, I won't say his name, love his show. Sometimes he gets into these yelling modes where he's yelling his message, and if I'm driving in the car, it's too much and it annoys me, so I have to turn it off. So we have the power to choose, right? And, you know, kind of shift and who we listen to and when. And I think it depends on what's important to you, what's relevant right now in your life, what you value. Like Hanna said, there's a lot of different factors that lead to what you consume and then take action on, like Dr. Fred was saying.
I want to connect on to what you said, Dr. Fred, at the beginning, this with how we are meeting the one that we are speaking to. I have 2 grown-up children, 2 grown-up daughters. They are 29 and 32 now. And I also have a son of 9. So it's 20 years in between the youngest daughter and my son. And of course, I have grown through those 20 years. So the way that I speak to my son today is totally different in the way that I spoke to my daughters. And I do believe that there are more parents listening to this show than I am. And I do believe that it's more people or more parents than me that have had problems to get the kids to bed in the evenings and to get them to sleep, right? And you're sitting there and you start to get a little bit frustrated because you have so much things that you want to do. And I don't have that problem with my son, because I'm there. I'm talking not to him. I'm talking with him. Since he was a little boy, I spoke to him and I was kneeling. I was sitting down on my knees because I wanted to be on the same eye level as he was. And it makes such a big difference. So just taking that as an example with whoever we are talking to talk to the other person and see the other person as an equal, on an equal level. I think that makes such a huge difference as well.
I love what you just said, to not only for children, but anyone in front of you, to treat them as an equal. So a lot of people don't necessarily do that, and they just want followers. Follow me only. Do what I say, and all these nonsense is what I consider it. But when we treat another person, and it doesn't matter their status in life, but if we treat them equally, I think there is that connection that can happen. That's why you have that connection with your son, because he knows how you believe who he is. And we need to do that with everyone, not just children, but another person in front of me. If I'm walking in and I have somebody who's cleaning for me, I don't treat them less than somebody who's making me tons of money because they're bringing all the sales in and all that stuff. So it's important for me to treat everybody the same. And it's also important to get feedback. And I ask for feedback from my employees all the time. And one of the things when I hire a new person is I always say to them, if I talk to you a certain way, please let me know. I said, because if you don't let me know, then we don't have communication. And one quick one is, I also have an autistic client who just turned 26. And his age is in numbers, but sometimes he's 2 years old, sometimes he's 5 years old, sometimes he's 10 years old. And sometimes when he's 2 years old, he throws a
temper tantrum.
Yeah, but I wanted to say it's he throws this foul language. And yeah, so I say to him, you're not allowed to speak that way to me. I don't speak that way to you. So if you don't stop, we're stopping our session right now and you're going to go home. Oh my God, that shuts him down. He's like, I don't want to go home. I want to stay here with you. And so it's about letting him know how we need to treat one another. But because he's autistic, he doesn't get it. But a lot of times it's how we treat another person. And the old saying is, you want to treat somebody the way you want to be treated. And that's not fully true, because maybe somebody wants to be treated their way. So why don't we find out how they want to be treated before we start treating them a certain way?
I have a thing with this word of feedback. It might be because I'm a Swede, I don't know. But I usually say that instead of talking about feedback, what about talking about reflection, common reflection, or reflect together? For me, when I hear the word feedback, then we are coming into a hierarchy. I'm telling you what I see. When we are talking about reflection, then I can reflect what I see. What's your take on that? I would love to hear your take on that.
I love that, because if you look in the mirror, that's exactly what you're getting. If you smile, it's going to smile back. If you're crying in front of a mirror, it's going to cry back. You cannot feel the tears, but it's still crying. So the reflection, I think that's a little bit better than feedback, because it's more honest.
Yeah, I love that, Hannah. It makes me think feedback. It's nice when you get permission to give feedback. And if we think of it as reflection, then you don't really need that permission, so to speak, because you're just reflecting something inside you of what you see. So it's a nuance, but it's huge. I love that reframe.
So it has come to that time where we're actually going to be ending the show. So what I love to do is give everybody 30 seconds, because there's a lot of us. Tell us how we're going to put your website across the way, and then tell us in 30 seconds why somebody needs to connect with you. And if you don't mind, Nikki, put Hannah's up, and Hannah will let you go first, and I'm going to mute myself.
Did you want me to go first? Sorry, I didn't hear. Yeah. You will connect with me if you're a high achiever and you want to make your capability to a strength instead of a risk for yourself and your organization.
Thank you. Thank you. Carrie, you're up.
Connect with me if you have had a cancer experience. That maybe you went through cancer yourself. You were a caregiver with someone with cancer. You had a family member with cancer. Cancer is our starting experience, but I work with people who feel stuck, who feel like they can't go back to normal and need to move forward and transform. So I am here to walk with you through that journey.
Love it. Thank you. Sabine, you're up.
If you want to have your voice being heard, if you want to be seen, if you want to have the courage to share your message more powerfully, you can connect with me. Go to my resources. I have some free resources. And if you want to share your story in my new upcoming book, Become Empowered, definitely contact me, because there you have a chance to share your story and become a bestseller as well.
Awesome. Bret, would you mind going?
Yeah, connect with me if you have a young person in your life that you just like to share a little bit of joy with.
Love it. Love it. Dr. Fred.
Yeah, I've been in the mental health field for 46 years, and maybe even all the way from when I arrived here. And what I do is I help people, maybe you, if you think there's something wrong with you. Like maybe you think there's something wrong with you, or maybe you think there's something wrong with them. And frankly, maybe there isn't. And so I help people see that maybe there was nothing wrong with them, and maybe there never has been anything wrong with them. And you can start stepping from right here with the confidence of being you. And that's what I've been doing in my life, and that's what I'd love to do with you.
Perfect. Thank you. Nikki.
Thanks, Sifu. You can connect with me if you are a successful, capable person, but privately you tell yourself another story. There's lots of mental noise, overthinking, and doubt. I help you to get to the root cause of what's driving those behaviors and have you reset your mind and how you show up in the world.
Love it. Love it. I'm Sifu Rafael. Easy to find, sifurafael.com. And my mission in life is to help as many people, whether I'm putting you on a stage, I'm helping you in your business, I'm helping you personally. I also have a communication school. So anywhere that you need help, don't be afraid to reach out. Conversation doesn't hurt. Actually, it can build something. Thank you, everybody. Have a blessed and beautiful day, everybody. We will see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.